statement from the coach, and then we'll take questions.
Sure, opening statement. We're excited to get on the road, start a road swing of 6 away games in a row, and right in front of us is a team we know pretty well in Harvard, playing them twice last year and splitting those games. And, it's really allowed us to reflect on, what we did last year and, what we need to improve on for this year. So hopefully we'll see some changes and some better results. So looking forward to the game.
Gary, last year Harvard had some success getting some turnovers on you guys, which kind of countered the face-off success that you had. What did you take away from how they played defense and what you have to be prepared for this week?
Well, I think, throughout this entire year, we've spent more time focused on, clearing the ball and possessing the ball and being smart with it. And I think you saw that certainly in the Maryland game, but in a couple of the earlier games in that, where we would purposely have long possessions so that we could practice, utilizing the end of the shot clock and possessing the ball and not turning it over as much. And our turnovers have been pretty low this year, so I've been pretty happy.
What was the biggest, lesson you took away from Harvard last year that you guys want to improve on?
Like I said, I think it's about possessing the ball and not having unforced errors and not giving it back to them. Give them as few possessions as possible because they're dynamic on offense and they can put the ball in the goal.
We've seen Joey shoot the ball a lot more. I think he's averaging 10 shots a game in his career. What have you seen from him in terms of being aggressive with his shot? And do you think teams are trying to make him into a shooter rather than kind of distributing on the offense?
No, I think Joey's just Joey, and he's getting opportunities. Probably, Coach March using the pick game more. I think that's helped him quite a bit, and then bring him up top in the offense a little bit more. And I think all of that has helped get him some more opportunities. So it's been great.
Have you seen him kind of develop the off-ball game for him in terms of what have you seen in that aspect?
Well, it's always been a focus point for him was to be moving off ball, find the lanes, give yourself some chances to get some easy shots rather than always have to line up and dodge and beat somebody. It's a lot easier when you can just pop into space and get a free shot. So, he's going to continue to work on that and hopefully get better as he finishes the year and make it much more difficult for him to be covered.
The defense has really done a nice job through 3 games. If you could, speak to the job Coach O'Donnell has done at this point in the year.
I think we're tied last year. The same, I think it was since 1970 or something that we've had this few of goals scored in 3 games. But this year I think we've played a little bit tougher opponents and been able to keep the goals against the same. So very happy with what Coach O's got going on the DN. The guys are all on the same page. They're working incredibly hard to make sure they're prepared for every game, and now it's just a matter of continuing to try and execute at a high level.
Gary, start of a rare 6-game road trip. What are the challenges of going on the road for that long? And is there a spot you're most looking forward to going to?
I'm just looking forward to helping this team. You get closer than they are. They're amazingly close, and they got great chemistry. But we've used road trips over the last couple of years to really bring the team together and do some team building while we're on the road, and we'll do that. And I get to go back to good old Colorado, where I used to live, where I came from to take the job here. And we're going to be out there for spring break, so I think we're looking forward to that trip. Take everybody skiing, a little downhill, the Olympics on, it'll be exciting, so hopefully we can stay healthy.
Have you ever had a stretch like this in terms of the 6 straight road games, not playing a home game until later in March? Have you ever had a stretch like this as a player, coach?
Certainly as a player, and you have this in pro leagues where you're on the road, seems like forever. But I don't know, John, has it ever happened?
1972. opened 6 straight on the road.
There you go, 1972. So, but I don't know if we've ever had 8 away games in a season.
It's next on my research.
Yeah, that's next on the research. So, yeah, so it's we didn't get to open on the road with 6 in a row, but we're going to travel in the mid-year here. Like I said, it's just a great opportunity for the team to bond and really get to develop as a group.
Gary, the world of face-offs is fascinating when you get into techniques and everything. Have you noticed anything that opposing teams have been doing to counter what John does, or anything different this year?
Well, I think
The
more
success he's
team. Yes, I think absolutely more teams are. He's a known quantity out there, so they're coming in with prepared to counter, which I think is a lot different. Last year they wanted to see everybody went in to try and win the clamp and compete, and this year they're coming at them a little bit differently. I think a lot of people are practicing their counters and getting ready and finding a way to get that ball loose and get it out to the wings.
Coach, you talked about Harvard's offense and trying to keep it away from them as much as possible. You at least don't have to face off against Sam King this year, but still, how does that added attack with a bunch of different guys stepping up in his place, how do you prepare for that?
Well, I know they got Mr. Masnick playing, who's a Canadian that, I think he was injured last year, and he's out there, so they're a dynamic attack. He's a kid I coached for the Canadian U20 team. There's 2 of them, Wyatt Wiggins, the other. So I know those 2 guys pretty well, and their offense is good and they're balanced. They're much like us. They have multiple, weapons that can score at any time. So it makes it difficult to cover. And Coach O's been reminding me these guys are tough to cover. So we need to play well, and we need to just out-execute them and get more opportunities than they do.
When it comes to Michael Leo, kind of speak to his growth over his 4 years, and then the role he kind of inhabits, being that kind of reliable 2 goals, 3 goals a game kind of scorer for you guys.
Michael's, he's a dedicated kid, loves his team. He wants to win bad. He'll do anything for this team. So if it means not scoring 2 or 3 goals and we win, he's all in. So, which is great. And I think that's just a real sign of maturity and the fact that he gets it. What's important is the W at the end of the day, and doing whatever role's asked of him, and being willing to play attack one day, midfield the next, whatever it is, he's willing to do it.
Do you have a moment or game that comes to mind that kind of encapsulates that?
No, I think that he's always been like that, but this year, he really is getting moved around quite a bit, and so he's embraced it, and he's that guy willing to do whatever it takes.
In terms of, you talked about after the game Friday, the Dome being kind of the best place to play lacrosse, and 10,000 people. Friday night at 6 o'clock, I think Anish Shroff talked about, or I saw him on a podcast, he talked about like lacrosse needing more primetime games, or like to get more exposure. Like, do you think about that at all in terms of exposing lacrosse to new people? Because Friday at 6 o'clock felt like a big time game, but do you think lacrosse needs more of that?
It would be nice if we could figure it out, but it's much like the concerns of starting early. Until we all decide to do it, it's going to be difficult for it to happen. I know you create such a disadvantage if you only have 2 days to prepare for a team. So these midweek games are tough. But I think what would make it fair is if it's kind of mandated, so everybody's in the same situation, and that's in fact what we're doing with this ACC Ivy Challenge. We are creating a Friday, Sunday game situation where the teams have the same amount of time to prep, and I think that's what makes that work. And we'll see how it goes this year, and looking forward to doing that again next year and taking advantage of those. But with TV, it makes it hard, to decide to play on a Thursday night, and do you play on the weekend? Do you not play on the weekend? It makes it really difficult to to try and create a schedule when you have these, when the media or TV wants games, away from traditional weekends. So that definitely makes it tough.
Two more.
Coach, you spoke about the defense. Specifically, I wanted to ask about the short stick midfielders and how you've seen them kind of step up over the course of the first couple games, like Dante, Jake, and those guys.
I think they've done a great job. They're a unit. They all get opportunities, and they've done pretty well. But they're still getting better, still developing chemistry. It's certainly not our deepest position as far as experience. Dante is a grad student, our most experienced guy. Other than that, we got a freshman, mix of players in there. But they've been doing pretty well. So I'm excited to see how they continue to develop and how they play well when we're on the road.